So, in 1955, a good year, Crockett Johnson wrote this children's book that was later turned into an animated series called Harold and the Purple Crayon. Any of you remember that? I kind of remember it when I was a kid, but I definitely made sure that my kids watched it, the reruns on like PBS Kids when they were growing up. The story is about a curious little boy who creates his world simply by drawing it with a purple crayon, his magic purple crayon. And I just thought that that was a good message to sort of give kids that they participate in creating their world. So today we're going to be talking all about creativity, the creative process, how to participate in it, how to make it work for us. And before you say, well, I'm not creative because, I don't write poetry or I don't draw or I don't play a musical instrument, I will tell you that, that creative process doesn't necessarily involve any of those things. And secondly, we're all creative, right? We're engaged in the creative process just about every moment of our lives, whether we know it or not, because our thoughts and our beliefs are creative. They are our purple crayon. I'm hearing an echo over there. Our thoughts, our beliefs, they're our purple crayon, right? And so, that creative activity of our mind contributes to how our day unfolds, how we react to what's present, how we can continue with our lives. It's the context of our lives. Now, unfortunately, most of the time it's unconscious. It's by default because we're unaware of it, because we've forgotten that life doesn't happen to us, that life happens through us. Most people believe that life happens to them, right? And we forget that life is being created through us at every moment. Life is being created through the filter of our consciousness, of our core beliefs, of our unhealed wounds, as we were reminded of, right, last week when we had our special guest, Esther Nicholson, who was here, reminded us of that. So because we're unaware of it, we unconsciously create the same limited conditions, the same health challenges, the same relationship problems over and over. And all the while, there is a new idea that is waiting to be birthed through us, a new, more joyous, more expansive idea that is waiting to be created through us. So how do we do that? How do we let go of the stuff that's filtering in all of the good? Let go of that and then begin to just create fresh, create anew. Well, I think if we, take a cue from artistically creative people and, see their process, observe their process, I think that can be helpful for us. So when you ask most artists how they came up with an idea for a painting or the story, the screenplay that they wrote, or a song that they created, or a piece of pottery that they made, very often you'll hear, well, it just came to me, or I saw it in my mind, or I heard it in my inner ear. Some people say that it came to them in a dream. Some people say that they just pulled it out of the ethers. So when I asked our music director, Chris Whiteneck, how he comes up with the ideas for songs that he does, he told me that he gets an idea for a feeling he wants to convey. He starts with that, a feeling he wants to convey. And then he sits down at the piano and works out the chord changes that sort of express that feeling. Is that about right? And he also said, sometimes it's a process that takes time, that it takes a while. It's not always immediate. And, as a writer, I know that. And, many of you who do write, you know that you can be sitting in front of a blank screen for, a day and a half and nothing's coming. You have this kind of amorphous idea of what you want to say, but it takes a while to get all those, right words that express that idea to kind of fly in the right formation. But then if you stay with it, right? If you're disciplined and you stay with it, then suddenly the words begin to flow and more begins to flow, right? And then it's, whoa, now you're in the flow and you can't stop. I know when my husband was in the creative process of writing something and, like it's time for dinner, or it's time to help, with the dog or the kids or something like that. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm in the zone. I'm in the flow. I can't stop right now. I got this process going, right? Just, you got to give yourself over to it. You got to give yourself to the process. It's a creation that sort of takes on a life of its own. Of course, it involves us. An artist has an idea for a painting, right? Chris Geith back there, you're an artist, you know this, right? So you have an idea, but you need to have the right paintbrushes, right? And the right colors that you want to share, that you want to express your feeling or your idea. And if you don't have those colors, you got to go to the store and get them. And then you have to prepare the canvas. And then you have to, do the work. Or a woodworker who has an idea for, a really cool table. But he's got to go out and get the wood, and use the saw and fit in the legs and sand it down. So it's a co-creative thing, right? The creative process needs us. Creative process needs us. So how many of you saw the Peter Jackson documentary on the Beatles that came out a year or so ago called Get Back? Is that a couple of you? It was it was during the pandemic, so like lockdown, so you had the time to watch it. It was fascinating to see, first of all, the relationship of these four lads, that everybody knew, and their relationship as they were kind of ending the collaboration. And it was also fascinating to see the creative process in real time, right? It's in real time. That's why it was so long. There was, 3 or 4 different segments that were 3 hours each. So very long. But you see the process. And it was interesting at first because there was so much tension in the room. There was a lot of resentment. I mean, this is kind of at the end of, they were, just about to break up. So there was a lot of tension, a lot of resentment. Some people didn't want to be there. George Harrison did not want to be there and walked out at some point. And it felt like Paul McCartney was the only one taking it seriously. And so nothing was coming together. Nothing was gelling, right? And then when they went back to their Apple recording studios, which was their home ground, right? Their own stomping grounds, it's like they relaxed and got real comfortable. And then suddenly they started to get playful. And that old, those relationships of that playful, creative thing, that magic that they had together sort of began to, you could see it. It was happening. And they got goofy and silly. And somebody brought their kid and they were chasing the kid around and dancing with it. And they were, just stream of consciousness, nonsensical lyrics, especially John Lennon. He was like really crazy stream of consciousness lyrics that he was just sharing, so silly. And fortunately, a lot of those stayed on the album. You can hear a lot of those. They kept it on the album, which is really fun to see. So it felt like the more playful they got, the more it started to flow. The more the songs began to gel and come together. They still had to pick up their instruments and work out the chords and work out when the drums are coming in and when where the harmonies are going to be. But it was that process of just being free and silly and playful and getting in the zone, getting in that creative zone. right? It's that playful, joyous energy that we are, that we're really looking for. So, I felt like that was a really important lesson, that the more playful we get, the more we allow those ideas to flow from that infinite creative source, that field of all possibilities, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't work as well when you're serious, or when there's any kind of resentment there, or any kind of negativity in the back of your mind. Doesn't work as well. It seems to block the flow, right? So also we want to stay curious. I want to stay curious. Curiosity leads to the best inventions and discoveries, right? So that energy of staying curious and staying playful. So let's take that then. Whenever we want to create something new, right? We want to create something new in our lives, a new experience. We're tired of recreating the same limited experience over and over again. Phew, done with that. We're going to create something new, a new experience now. Okay, so we want to get in the energy of the creative flow. We want to be playful. We want to have a sense of joy about it. It wants to be uplifting. We want to feel that creative energy. So, I always say it's not about the specific words that you use in affirmative prayer or the images that you put on your vision board. It's the feeling that those things evoke. That's what you're going for, the feeling that those things evoke, right? You want to be playful and fun and have a sense of joy about it. You want to get into the energy of the experience. You want to be in the energy of the experience that you're creating. The energy of the experience that you're creating. That's the most important part of this whole thing, right? You want to feel, what is it you're creating? Maybe it's a relationship. I want to get into that energy field of love and connection. Is it abundance? I want to get in that energy field of limitless good. Is it health and well-being? I want to get into that energy field of vibrancy and feel that vibrant energy within me. Do you see what I'm saying? Getting in that energy field. And, it can happen at the most unexpected times, really when you're least expecting it. So last week I was here and meeting with a woman who wants to do this personal growth retreat and wants to use the labyrinth. And so we met, we walked, we went outdoors, and we walked the labyrinth, and we talked out there. And then once we were done with that, we came back into my office, and we sat down and talked for a while. And then when she was ready to go, we got up and walked out the door, and she was behind me. She closed the door behind me. I didn't think anything of it. And then she leaves, and bye-bye, she's gone. Now, Debbie wasn't here because she had to go home. She's the office manager, right? You all know Debbie. She had to meet a repairman or something at her house, so she wasn't here. So when I went back into the office, my phone, my keys, my purse, everything was in that locked office. And my computer was in my car, which was locked. So I started to panic a little bit. Like, oh, where's that spare key? I know there's a spare key somewhere, and I'm looking everywhere for that spare key. No spare key anywhere. And so I thought, okay, well, I can't call anybody. I can't email anybody. Maybe I should just relax and enjoy the experience. What is the universe giving me here? It could be something interesting. Why don't I pay attention? Can't do anything. Nobody's here. There was nobody here, right? Nobody. So I came into the sanctuary, and during the week, the seats are stacked up against the wall. So this is beautiful floor here. this gorgeous wood floor. And I got out and I started dancing and moving and playing. It was such nice big space, and I'm playing in this energy and just enjoying the beautiful, lush green trees that are all around here that you could see. And then suddenly the rainstorm happened. This was the day, the big storm with thunder and lightning, and the rain is coming down, and I just was so grateful. I was indoors. I was not like locked outside, and it was just like experiencing the phenomena, the weather phenomena. It was just so interesting. So I took my own good advice, and I decided to just be. Just be in that creative, I just allowed myself to just give over right to the moment, to the creative experience. And just be. And being with that storm, it was just so interesting in this beautiful space that I have been in how many times for the last 10, 12 years, really. And it just all became new to me in this sacred time. It became a sacred experience. And so, don't you know, that suddenly ideas began to come to me. And they started to flow. And so I hurried and I grabbed whatever paper I could find, and I got the pen from the back of the seat, and I started writing it down fast and furious as much as I could. All these ideas for talks I could give, for programs we could do, for ways that we could market here, and it just started going and flowing, and it was such a beautiful experience. And then I was sitting over there, and there's vents. I started hearing children crying and screaming and laughing and being kids from downstairs, because we have a daycare downstairs, and there's a lot of kids there now, fortunately, and they must have woken up from their nap, and they were really like getting loud. And that thought came to me, oh, Anna, who runs the daycare, I could go down there and use her phone and call Debbie and ask her to come back and let me in. But the moment I had that thought, I thought, you know what, no, I'm just going to, this was like so precious to me, this time, that I just wanted to continue to be here. I didn't want to interrupt it. So I just continued to stay here. And then around 5 o'clock, I thought, well, she's going to leave. I better go. I don't know if anybody's coming all night, I bet. So I did finally call her, and after some time, Debbie came in and let me in, and I was reunited with my phone, my keys, and my purse, and everything. That felt good. But when I look back on it, it was such a precious time. It was such a gift. So look for those moments that the universe, it could seem like off the bat, like, ooh, this is not good. But you just never know. If you stay open to it and don't resist it, you don't know. It could be a real gift. Allow yourself to get playful with it, to get into the creative flow with it. You never know. You might birth an idea that could change the course of your life, or the next great invention that the world has been waiting for. Again, there are ideas that are waiting to be created through us. Glorious, expansive, joyous, love-filled, abundant ideas. It's the divine urge of the universe that wants to be expressed in more joyous, more expansive ways. Always moving through us. It is us, right? It's moving through us. And you could feel that divine urge as maybe, feeling in your gut, or maybe in your heart, or maybe in your soul, or maybe a little tickle in your brain. And when you're experiencing it, when you're feeling it, don't dismiss it. How often do we dismiss things like, oh, that'll never happen. I could never do that. Or that's not the way it's usually done. Nip those thoughts in the bud. Nip them in the bud. Learn to trust. Trust this creative process. Train your brain to stay open to the field of all possibilities. Trust that creative process and know that you are co-creating with the infinite power of the universe. It is the infinite power of the universe that you are co-creating with. Not this little wimpy thing. It's powerful. It's powerful. Accept it. Be open to it. Take your rightful place as the designer of your life. Okay, so we're going to be talking more about specifics of how to do this as we go through the month. This is a theme of creativity this month. So come back, stay tuned, because we're going to go into more in the next few weeks. In the meantime, stay open, stay playful, stay in the creative flow, and enjoy. Namaste.